Welcome to the episode. Shit, Sports Talk. Welcome to Week 5, 2025-26 college football season. Wow, we're already on the Week 5 already. And a lot of great games have played. We've seen a lot of coaches get fired. Recently, Oklahoma State just cut ties with a long-standing coach, Gundy. Their horrible start this year and what happened last year, they've had enough, I guess, and time for them to move a different direction. We'll see how that turns into maybe generating some extra wins. But right now in the Big 12, I think they have a long hill to climb. Definitely a lot of games last week did not go the way anticipated. I read the tea leaves wrong or something. Someone spiked my drink. I don't know. I am going 5-7. It's my worst week thus far, both college football and the NFL. If you follow my other videos I do before this one, yeah, there was a lot of them that I was just shaking my head. It's like, what happened? Texas Tech at Utah. I thought Utah would have that one in the bag, but Texas Tech went in there and just clamped down on the Utes. It had them do absolutely nothing. So I think their dominance in the Big 12 might be a farce. Auburn, Oklahoma, it went exactly as I kind of anticipated. So nothing there. Michigan won the Lincoln and edged out Nebraska. I was kind of iffy on that game, but I went with the home team instead. Illinois proved they were overrated, as Indiana just mopped the floor with them. Their defense was all over the Illini, and they had nothing to go for it. I thought SMU could beat TCU in their annual matchup. Not the case. I thought Wazoo could get the better end of Washington, and they were for a bit until Washington decided to play. And that was that. And then Maryland went to Wisconsin and just caged some Badgers. Instead of, the Badgers dining on turtle soup. I mean, I don't know what happened in that game either. So, a lot of these games did not go the way anticipated. Didn't go a lot of the way what people kind of predicted either. And thus, I went 5-7. Well, now it's time to cleanse ourselves of that. And we start with the Week 5 matchups. This week, I only have 10 matches for you that I'm going to pick upon. Let's go ahead and just dive this in and just go to the team I've already mentioned already, the Illini. Dropped all the way down to 23 after being in the top 10. So getting demolished by Indiana really hampered them. They'll play host to undefeated and 21st ranked USC. And the Illini woes will continue. The way the USC has been playing right now, they are just being a massive juggernaut. I mean, okay, so they put up 73 against Missouri State, 59 against Georgia Southern. Okay, let's take those two out. They're already 2-0 in Big Ten play. Put up 33 against Purdue, 45 against Michigan State. Purdue, okay, you can probably put that one to a side. But the 45 against Michigan State, but coughed up 31, and that's going to be part of the key. But if Illinois cannot fix their problems in offense that Indiana exploited, I mean, Indiana only allowed Illinois 10 points and had one good play that went for a touchdown. And that is going to be a huge issue. Altmaier had no chance to make any plays whatsoever, because he was constantly running and his receivers were covered, and it just Indiana suffocated that Illini offense. But Altmaier is a 70% passer with 9 touchdowns with over 850 yards in the air. Maivia, over 1,200 yards in the air and 9 touchdowns. Now note, they've had a lot of blowouts early in the season, so the numbers are a little conflated. Jordan out the backfield for the Trojans, over 440 yards, 3 touchdowns. Fegan for Illini, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns. Definitely some very good offenses, but I give USC more credit on their end. They look more poised. The Illini offense was decimated against Indiana. They had no answers whatsoever. And I have a feeling it's going to be the exact same issue here with the Trojans. The Trojans are going to come in there to Champaign-Urbana, not having issues. Right now, analytics favor them at 73%. They give the Trojans only a 1.5-point advantage. So they see Illinois could, muster up something, try to storm back, and I hope they can. But I don't see in the end. I think USC is going to be too much. I think they're going to just win this way more than by 2 points. Like I said, I don't see anything good with this game for the Illini. They're going to be, I think, lose this one, be out of the polls next week. Trojans should rock it up and go to 5-0. Now we head over to Nashville, where they're quietly getting in there. They're 18th ranked. They're undefeated. They're welcome in 3-1 Utah State. Now this one won't normally garner a lot of attention because Utah State has really not scratched the surface at all. I mean, the only other time frame they had a big time, one of the power programs, they faced A&M, and they scored 22 but allowed 44 points. But you saw what they did. And Air Force was able to rack up 30 points against them the following week, but still able to outgun them. This one's going to be, I think, one of these games is going to ground the Aggies for a bit, even though Barnes, over 980 yards in the air, 8 touchdowns, but he does have a pick. Davis kind of in the backfield for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. But if you look at Vanderbilt, everything runs around Pavia. 890 yards in the air, 250 on the ground, 9 total touchdowns. He's a focal point in this Vanderbilt offense. That defense has stepped up quite a bit. I mean, you look what they did against South Carolina. They hampered Virginia Tech when they needed to. So this is definitely a team not to overlook, and it's going to be one of these issues that Utah State's going to have issues. Vanderbilt's going to, I think, run away with this game. Analytics has them at 95%. They also give them a 21.5-point spread. I think they're going. I'm halfway tempted to push back on the point spread just because, but looking what A&M did to them, putting up 22 points, I think that's a fair assumption. I think it's going to be at least a 21-point victory, but I do see Vanderbilt moving to 5-0 on the season. In order to Seattle, Washington for a marquee Big Ten game. It's not the only one the Big Ten is going to be marquee. 2 undefeated squads square off as the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes clash with undefeated Washington, who's just sniffing the rankings. They haven't quite cracked the top 25 yet, but they are hanging around. And if you look at their list of achievements, not really much. The only thing that you can really hang your hat on is Ohio State's victory against Texas in Week 1. Their defense stepped up and they had to pretty much stifle Texas most of that game. Their offense struggled, but they finally were able to, at least get 2 touchdowns in. And then they racked up 107 points to 9 in the next 2 games. For the Huskies, I mean, Washington State gave them a bit of a scare in the beginning of the game, and then all of a sudden Washington just clicked and just ran away with it. For the Huskies, Coleman has almost 350 yards out of the backfield with 9 touchdowns. So once again, that rushing attack for the Huskies is going to be a pinpoint. Williams, 770 yards plus in the air with 6 touchdowns. Saying for the Buckeyes, almost 780 yards, 8 touchdowns, but 3 picks. He's kind of maybe tone that down a bit. He's definitely throwing a pick a game with almost 3 touchdowns a game. I guess you take the good with the bad. Jackson coming out of the backfield over 200 yards at the touchdown. So definitely got to work on that rushing attack for the Buckeyes. Something that they're going to have to handle, with the Huskies and Coleman leading that sled team coming out of that backfield is going to be a issue for the Buckeyes try to contain. And good offense. You'll see Ohio State Buckeyes defense step up. They did it against Texas. I have a feeling they'll do it again here against Washington. Right now, analytics favor Ohio State 6.9%. And they also get them a 13.5-point spread. Take Washington for the points. I think Washington's going to give the Buckeyes a big scare. This is I think a game kind of get overlooked a little bit, but this is going to be the Washington's going to make this a lot closer than what Ohio State wants. It's going to be, I think, similar to the Texas game. I would not doubt that whatsoever. I do think Ohio State will win this game though, but will not be by 21, or 13.5 is the spread. They're not going to win by that. It's definitely going to be a lot closer, maybe 6, possibly 9 points. But I'll give it to the Buckeyes to escape Seattle with the W, move to 4-0. Huge showdown in SEC between undefeated 4th-ranked LSU and undefeated 13th-ranked Ole Miss as they collide for the Magnolia Bowl. Teams have I want to say quietly, but they have amassed a resume of quality wins, marquee battles. But if you look at LSU, they have struggled a couple times this season. I mean, they struggled against Clemson in the opener, but ended up beating them 17-10. Really struggled against Louisiana Tech. They couldn't find their offense much and only put up 23 points. With Florida took it to them for a bit until LSU was able to pull away and win that one by 10. But if you looked at Ole Miss, they struggled in Lexington and barely walked out with a 7-point victory. They struggled against Arkansas, barely beat them by 6. Their defense really falling short. Tulane, a good offense, they dominated. So there's definitely some issues on both these teams. So that there are definitely some holes in here that could have the coaches try to find ways. I mean, Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly are both very good coaches. They'll find ways to get the best out of their players and try to exploit any type of weakness that exposes themselves to them. But for the Bayou Bengals, Nessmeyer, over 960 yards in the air, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. Derman coming out of the backfield, over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the Rebels, Chambliss, almost 720 yards in the air with 4 touchdowns. Lacey, over 350 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns. Once again, the Rebels' offense is a potent rushing attack. So a little bit different in what LSU kind of goes is more pass-centric with Nussmeier. Ole Miss is more run-centric with Lacey and complemented with Chambliss. So we'll see how these two will kind of correlate, see how their defenses will try and find ways to mask around, try to find ways to exploit any nuances. This is going to be a razor-thin margin between these two. Analytics on the ways has a 73% Ole Miss. The spread favors LSU at 1.5. Do you take the analytics side or you go Vegas side? I mean, you got a couple different ideas here, smashing heads, trying to figure out exactly who is going to be that catalyst is going to change things. For me, I'm leaning more towards Ole Miss because of how they've handled other teams of similar caliber, similar talent pool and whatnot, and they played them tough, and they were just a squeak out. And I think Ole Miss is going to just find a way to just kind of squeak past LSU. Well, now, keeping in the SEC, we'll head out to College Station as the undefeated Aggies will take on 3-1 Auburn. Auburn really had that disappointing game over there in Norman, Oklahoma, and ended up losing 24-17, but showcased their ability to really keep up with some high-power offenses, and A&M is definitely one of those offenses. A&M's defense is definitely going to be subject to a lot of assault by this Auburn Tigers team. They coughed up 40 points to Notre Dame. If it wasn't for a couple snafus on the snap, especially on a extra point, I mean, A&M could have lost that game up in South Bend last week, or 2 weeks ago, should I say. So that's definitely something to think about coming into this week, that A&M could have been 2-1 coming in here. And Auburn could have been, undefeated at 4-0. That's how close of a margin those games were last time these two played. And Arnold for the Tigers, over 720 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns. Cobb coming in the backfield, 375 with 4 touchdowns. Reed for the Aggies, almost 870 yards in the air, 9 touchdowns and a pick. And then Moss, not really coming much with 168 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. So once again, Auburn's offense is balanced, which is going to be good. But for the Auburn's defense, they have to find ways to contain Reed, to limit his effectiveness in the air, and force the Aggies to be a one-dimensional team. They tried to do that against Oklahoma, and they couldn't do it for an extended period of time. But if their special teams kick in like they did against Baylor in the opening salvos of the season, I have a feeling this is going to be a decent game between these two. Right now, analytics favor A&M at 68%. The spread favors A&M at 6.5. A&M has some offensive beast, and it's going to be the defense that's going to let them down a bit. Auburn's going to put up points. 2.5 is the over-under right now. I mean, that was 80 points last week against Notre Dame. I expect Auburn to put up some similar numbers. I would take Auburn for the points. But I am going to go with A&M on this one. Like I said, they got some dogs in that offense that's going to challenge that Auburn's defense, put up points, quick, fast, in a hurry. Auburn can match them. So I do expect this game to be a shootout between these two. I do expect it to be like a 3-point, maybe 4-point affair. But I am picking the Aggies to win at home to go to 4-0. Now let's head up north and we head into the Big Ten country as we head over to Iowa. As the 3-1 Hawkeyes will take on the 11th ranked undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. And we'll see how Iowa could handle this Indiana team that just looks like a beast. Because I looked at their games against, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Those are just inflated numbers. But then they hang up 63 points on the Illini. And Iowa is going to struggle. They struggled against Rutgers, only beat them by 10. But they coughed up 28 points to the Knights. I expect Indiana to go in there and light up the scoreboard. Mendoza, 975 yards in the air. 14 touchdowns. This man could not be stopped. He was just electric. I had to stop watching that game. I was getting aggravated. Black coming in the backfield, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gronkowski, almost 500 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns in the pick. Patterson comes out of the backfield, almost 200 yards. So the Iowa offense is kind of sus. They're not. They find ways to score. That's their MO. But I have a feeling we'll come up with this powder keg that is Indiana and going to struggle mightily. Analytics favor the Hoosiers 78%. Vegas gives them 3.5. I see no issues. I am taking Indiana on this one and seeing them going to 5-0, 2-0 in Big Ten play. Now we head back down to Mississippi once again. Let's go to Mississippi State, who is undefeated, not ranked. Play host to 15th ranked Tennessee Volunteers at 3-1. Tennessee had that great game against Georgia, just couldn't get over the hump. I mentioned that last time I talked about them. They ended the game. They should have ran one more offensive play, got a little bit closer. They had the timeout. Then you could kick that field goal and off you go. And then after that, Georgia ended up winning. Mississippi State had that great game against Arizona State. I mean, it jumped up early on the Sun Devils. The defense collapsed, and the team came back to take a 3-point lead, only to lose it in the end to Mississippi State. So Mississippi State has some opportunities to rack up some points, but I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Tennessee. Aguilar, over 1,000 yards in the air with 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Thomas coming in the backfield for over 270 yards and 4 touchdowns. Shapen for the Bulldogs, over 880 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. And Bothwell, over 270 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. So Mississippi State does have a good offense. They will put up points against Tennessee. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Tennessee's going to come down there and kennel up some Bulldogs. Right now, analytics favor Tennessee 74%. The line has them at 9.5. But definitely go with the Vols to go to 4-1 season, even out their SEC play at 1-1. Now we head back up to Iowa. Boy, we just like just ping-ponging between the two states here along the Mississippi River. As now we head over to Iowa State, undefeated, 14th ranked, to take on undefeated Arizona Wildcats. A pair of undefeateds going at it. Arizona's had some great games. They had a great game against Kansas State. Arizona, I mean, they've had some really good outings outside of that, scoring over 40 points apiece. For Iowa State, a huge win against their in-state rival to keep that Cy-Hawk trophy. Heading over to Dublin to kick things off with Farmageddon in Ireland. And come from behind to beat K-State to win that game. And see how they've really stepped up. Last week, they struggled against Arkansas State. So there was a little chink in the armor right there. But I think last week was a week for like upsets anyways. But we look at the Wildcats. Fafita, over 700 yards with 6 touchdowns. Mahdi coming in the backfield over 260-plus yards and a touchdown. Beck for the Cyclones, 860 yards in the air, 7 TDs in the pick. Hansen coming in the backfield with over 250 yards. Very good, solid numbers by both of these key quarterbacks and running backs. So definitely very well-balanced teams. It's going to be a defensive aspect of coming to play in this one. Iowa State, analytically, 61%. Vegas likes them at 7.5. I'm halfway tempted to take Arizona for the points. But I do think Iowa State will have no issues in winning this game and moving to 5-0 on the season and setting their claim to be the team to beat in the Big 12. Now it's time to head over to Penn State as the undefeated Nittany Lions play host to the Oregon Ducks. Both of them in the top 10. It's going to be a whiteout over there in Beaver Stadium on NBC. And 2 juggernauts are coming to town to clash for control of the Big Ten itself. 2 marquee programs. Oregon right now has been lighting up the scoreboard. Penn State has been lighting up the scoreboard as I'm trying to destroy my microphone. But Penn State's competition has been Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova, while Oregon's knock off Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State. Only one of these programs taking on power programs, and they've been lighting them up. I mean, Oregon even had that opening win against SEC powerhouse Montana State and just obliterated them. Oregon's offense right now is operating on a 6th gear, and they're going to be hard to stop. More for the Ducks, over 960 yards, 11 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Limer coming in the backfield with 215 yards and 3 TDs. Alar for the Nittany Lions, over 600 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns in the pick. Allen comes out of the backfield, 270 yards plus with 3 touchdowns. These guys are going to have to find ways to really get in there, and the Ducks defense is no pushover either. Do I think Penn State's going to have a shot? Sure, I think they're going to be hanging with them, but when it comes to Penn State and marquee games against big-time powers in the Big Ten, they crumble like a cheap suit every time. They have an opportunity to, like last year against Oregon, they didn't stand a chance. But anytime they took on like Ohio State or Michigan, they, more times than not, collapsed. And that's part of the problems with Penn State. I mean, they have a great program, great traditions, but lately when they come against the power structures of the Big Ten itself, Penn State just can't knock off Ohio State, Michigan. I don't think they have a shot against Oregon. Analytics, in other ways, has Penn State favored at 51%. Vegas favors Penn State at 3.5. I'm not sure. Looking at their past history, those games they played, Nevada, Florida National, Villanova. I mean, they're not marquee programs, but there was Oregon's games that they knocked off. So I like Oregon's offense a lot more. I like their defense a lot more. I think Penn State will make it a contest for maybe like the first quarter, maybe the first half at most. But after that, I think it's going to be Oregon. It's going to be a raucous crowd in Happy Valley. And if the Ducks score early and often, they'll take the crowd out of the equation. We'll have to see how it plays out. But all fingers are pointing to Penn State. I'm taking the Ducks to win, to move to 5-0 in the season. Now it's time to head to Georgia. As undefeated Bulldogs, 5th ranked, take on 17th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. And Alabama has found their voice. They are firing on that offense. After struggling in the beginning of the season, they have found it. They're a tidal wave almost coming at you. So Georgia's got definitely some issues got to kind of hammer out. I mean, that game against Austin Peay was eye-opening for a bit. Tennessee, well-fought game. I mean, that's a well-fought game. And I picked Tennessee to beat them anyways, and didn't quite happen that way. When I look at Alabama, I mean, when Florida State destroyed them in the opener, I thought, okay, this is Alabama team's not going to be in the running for anything. And they knocked off Louisiana Monroe. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's Louisiana Monroe. Don't expect much out of them out of the Sun Belt anyways. And then they walloped on Wisconsin. Well, at the time frame, I thought Wisconsin make a little bit more of a game, but you see Wisconsin might have been a paper tiger anyways, or a paper badger. But the offense led by Simpson has really exploded under his guidance now, that they fine-tuned the mechanics and the offensive tools, and the schemes are working now. He has over 860 yards in the air with 9 touchdowns. But their running attack is lacking. Raleigh, the leading rusher, with 120 yards. No pay dirt. For the George Dogs. Wow. For Georgia, Stockton, over 720 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns. Frazier comes out of the backfield for about 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. So almost similar offensive styles. A little more run-centric on Georgia aspect to Alabama's. And Georgia's defense has some qualities in there that can really come up there. And Alabama's defense looked pretty good as well. I think this is going to be a good game, to tell you the truth, between these two powerhouses, marquee programs at SEC. Analytics favor Georgia at 55%. Vegas gives them advantage at 3.5. I like both aspects. I think it's going to be a well-fought game. I think Alabama might be leading this game early. Probably like a 4-point halftime lead, leading to the fourth quarter, maybe 7 points. And that's when Georgia's going to come out and finally, do what they do, especially what they did against Tennessee. I have a feeling it's going to be a similar type of game, and Georgia's going to be able to get over Alabama and get a marquee win, go 4-0 overall, 2-0 SEC play. Ready to go. Those are my 10. Some big-time matchups, especially the SEC and the Big Ten. These are the two, I guess, power conferences you can really say between the four. Let me know what you think about these 10 matchups. Which one you think I got wrong? Which game do you think I should have covered but didn't? Which game you looking forward to this weekend? And also, how's your team doing so far this season? Are they still doing halfway decent, or are you already scrapping it and waiting for next year? Let's mix it up. Comments below. The more interact, the better boost YouTube algorithm, the almighty YouTube algorithm that you must pay homage to and sacrifice to ensure our frontal cortexes are providing us the endorphins we need for pleasure of our stressful lives. Either dogs trying to bring sticks in a house that don't fit through the doorway, or old man talking about sports like he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. If you like what I do, you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That way to help support and boost us out to the masses. If you like what I do and you want to contribute, I greatly appreciate it. There's a fire sale going on right now on subscriptions. They're absolutely free, $0 in an entire year. All you do is hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn on notifications. Until next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time. Chat Sports Talk.